Eleanor Blackwood's trembling finger froze midstroke on her cheek, the morning moisturizer forgotten. A small, firm bump pulsed beneath her arthritic touch, its unnatural sheen catching the early sunlight in her bathroom mirror. Mother of God, she whispered, heart racing. The antique mirror, Richard's wedding gift from 47 years ago, slipped from her grasp, shattering across the porcelain sink. Glass shards scattered like her composure, each reflecting her horror-struck face. What was growing beneath her skin? Had she ignored it too long? One small discovery was about to unravel her quiet widowhood, pulling her family into a medical mystery with life-altering stakes. Eleanor Blackwood, 72, had long been the heartbeat of Lexington's classical music scene, her nimble fingers coaxing Chopin and Bach from the Steinway grand that still dominated her modest living room. But arthritis had slowed those fingers, a cruel reminder time's march. Widowed 5 years ago when her husband, Richard, succumbed to pancreatic cancer, Eleanor navigated loneliness with quiet dignity in their colonial-style home on Maple Street. Faded white-clabbered, hunter-green shutters and Richard's perennial garden surrounded the two-story sanctuary where time seemed paused in 1985. Floral wallpaper, doilies, and framed photos chronicling a life well-lived. Her days followed a steady rhythm. Rising at 6, coffee with a Boston Globe crossword, a light breakfast, then tending the garden's seasonal demands. Afternoons were for her 3 piano students, children she taught at a discounted rate, because music shouldn't be only for those who can afford it, as she'd told Richard. Social Security and Richard's teacher's pension kept the lights on, but healthcare costs loomed like storm clouds. Each Medicare copay demanded careful calculation, each prescription a potential crisis. Pride kept these struggles from her daughter, Melissa, a nurse in Seattle with her own family. Twins Emily and Ethan, 8, and husband Mark. That April morning began unremarkably. Birds bickered at Richard's feeder, lawnmowers hummed in the distance, and Eleanor stood before her bathroom mirror, applying drugstore moisturizer. Her finger caught on something new, a small, firm protrusion below her right cheekbone. Painless but unfamiliar. Probably nothing, she told her reflection, echoing the words she'd used when Richard dismissed his abdominal discomfort years ago. By the time his nothing was diagnosed, cancer had spread to his liver. Eleanor pressed her lips together, refusing to spiral. Unlike Richard, she couldn't afford fear. Medicare had limits, and her supplemental insurance carried deductibles that could drain her savings. So she waited, hoping the bump would resolve itself, as many seniors on fixed incomes do. Weeks passed, and the bump changed subtly. By week 3, it darkened, the skin stretched taut and shiny. During a Tuesday piano lesson, 10-year-old Abigail Miller stared. "Mrs. Blackwood, what's that on your face?" Eleanor's hand covered her cheek. "Just a blemish, dear. Let's focus on your Bach minuet." But privately, she worried. The bump, now marble size, had a purplish hue that pulsed under certain light. She felt occasional tickling movements beneath her skin, so fleeting she dismissed them as imagination. Over-the-counter remedies, antibiotic ointments, hydrocortisone, salicylic acid, failed to help. The growth seemed impervious, claiming her face with stubborn determination. "Richard would have dragged me to the doctor by now," she murmured one evening, staring into the medicine cabinet mirror. Richard had been proactive, scheduling checkups, researching physicians, keeping a leather-bound medical history. The irony that he'd missed his own symptoms haunted her. Eleanor calculated a doctor's visit. Medicare Part B would cover 80% after her unmet deductible, but a specialist copay was $50, excluding tests. Property taxes were due. The furnace needed servicing. Financial gymnastics, the unofficial sport of American seniors. She decided to wait a few more weeks. By month 2, concealment grew difficult. Eleanor bought higher coverage foundation, declining bridge club lunches to avoid scrutiny. Her neighbor, Thomas Carpenter, a retired postal worker, noticed her withdrawal. "Haven't seen you walking lately, Ellie," he called from his driveway. "Garden needs your touch." She angled her face away, managing a tight smile. "Just under the weather, Tom. I'll be out soon." Social isolation stung worse than the bump, a cruelty of visible ailments. She'd watched Richard withdraw as cancer progressed, humiliated by being defined by illness rather than his vibrant self. Weekly FaceTime with Melissa and the twins was her lifeline. Eleanor mastered flattering iPad angles, keeping her right side shadowed, deflecting health questions. But at 12 weeks, the growth doubled, a dark spot at its center resembling a tiny opening. Nighttime sensations of movement became frequent. Twice, Eleanor woke certain something shifted beneath her skin. During one call, Melissa's nurse's eye caught it. "Mom, what is that on your face?" Her voice was sharp. "It's nothing, dear," Eleanor lied, the words heavy. "That's not nothing," Melissa pressed. "How long have you seen Dr. Whitman?" Eleanor sighed, pretense exhausting. "About 3 months." "Not yet." Melissa's voice rose. 3 months? With your family history of melanoma, you can't ignore this. Why haven't you gone? The unspoken truth, pride and financial reality. Eleanor deflected, student's garden, but Melissa interrupted. "I'm transferring $500 to your account. Make an appointment tomorrow. This isn't negotiable." Tears pricked Eleanor's eyes, relief mingling with shame, when had their roles reversed. "Okay," she conceded. "I'll call." The next morning, Eleanor booked an appointment with Dr. Thomas Whitman, her physician of 4 decades. His receptionist, hearing urgency, squeezed her in 2 days later. What was this growth, and how had it taken root in her quiet life? Viewers, have you ever dismissed a small symptom, only to wonder later if you waited too long? Share your thoughts below. Dr. Whitman's office was a time capsule, medical diplomas, bookshelves, no pharmaceutical ads. At 68, he resisted retirement, keeping a small practice for long-time patients like Eleanor. "It's been too long," he greeted warmly, though his eyes locked on her cheek. "How are you otherwise?" "Fine," she said, gesturing to her face. "Just this. Started 3 months ago, small at first." Whitman gloved up, his expression darkening as he palpated the growth. "Any pain, itching, discharge?" "No pain." Eleanor hesitated. "Sometimes it feels moving." She braced a dismissal, but Whitman's brow furrowed. "Moving how?" "Like something shifting, mostly at night." He examined the dark center with an otoscope's magnified light, then said, "I'd like Dr. Reyes, our dermatology specialist, to see this." Dr. Sophia Reyes, mid-30s, entered with confident efficiency, sleek hair, oversized glasses, a new generation physician. "Mrs. Blackwood, may I?" Eleanor nodded, watching Reyes use instruments, take photos, make notes. "How long has this been present?" 3 months, Eleanor repeated. Reyes exchanged a glance with Whitman. "I'd like to perform a procedure today. This growth has concerning characteristics." "Is it cancer?" Eleanor's voice trembled. "I don't believe so," Reyes said carefully, "but we need to investigate." Whitman added, "Let's address the medical issue first. We'll sort costs later." His kindness tightened Eleanor's throat. Within 30 minutes, she lay on the exam table, face numbed, sterile drapes around her cheek. Reyes worked precisely, Whitman observing. "You'll feel pressure, no pain," Reyes said. Eleanor closed her eyes, drifting to Richard, his hand to Melissa's birth, her mother's funeral, every milestone. His absence ached. "That's unusual." Reyes's voice shifted, professional detachment giving way to surprise. Eleanor's eyes snapped open. "What is it?" "Remain still." The nurse restrained her shoulder. A strange tugging sensation, not pain, but distinct pulling. "Oh my God!" The nurse gasped, stepping back. Whitman leaned closer. "Sophia, what are you seeing?" Reyes's voice stayed controlled. "Mrs. Blackwood, I'm extracting what appears to be a parasitic organism." "A parasite? In her face for 3 months?" "I can see it," Eleanor said calmly, surprising herself. Whitman began, "I think it's better if—" But Eleanor cut him off. "Thomas, I buried a husband, raised a daughter alone, weathered recessions, taught 3 generations. I deserve to see it." Reyes nodded. "Nurse, just a mirror." Eleanor saw a dark, segmented organism writhing in Reyes's forceps, nearly 2 inches long. "That's been inside me." Her composure cracked. "All this time." "It appears to be a human botfly larva," Reyes explained. Dermatobia hominis, rare in the U.S., especially New England. Whitman paled. The nurse turned away. Reyes transferred the specimen to a container. How did I get a tropical parasite? Eleanor asked, have you traveled to Central or South America? Reyes asked, cleaning the wound. Eleanor's realization dawned. The Caribbean. Richard and I took a cruise for our 45th anniversary, 5 years ago. Whitman frowned. That's an unusually long dormancy. I was bitten hiking on an island, Eleanor recalled. The ship's doctor said it healed normally. I forgot about it. We'll send this for confirmation, Reyes said, bandaging her cheek. We'll prescribe antibiotics to prevent infection. Follow up next week. Minimal scarring likely. Relief washed over Eleanor. Not cancer, a parasite, now removed. Whitman steadied her as she sat up. You handled that remarkably well. Most would have fainted. When you've watched cancer take your husband, other horrors lose power, she replied. At the reception desk, the cost was just a $20 copay. Whitman had classified it as an emergency. In her car, Eleanor wept, relief mingling with disgust and gratitude. Melissa's call came as Eleanor drove home. Mom, what did Dr. Whitman say? It wasn't cancer, Eleanor said, finding humor in the absurdity. A botfly larva from our Caribbean cruise. Silence stretched. A parasite? In your face for 5 years. It's gone now, Eleanor assured, relaying Reyes' explanation. Melissa declared, I'm coming home with the kids. Eleanor protested, but Melissa's tone, her own non-negotiable voice, won. They arrive in 5 days. Eleanor visited Richard's grave, settling beside his headstone. You said our Caribbean trip would be memorable, she laughed softly. This tops even the bad in the attic. She shared Melissa's visit, the twins' growth, her longing for Richard in these strange turns. What had this parasite been doing all those years, and why emerge now? Viewers, have you ever uncovered something unexpected that changed your life's course? Tell us below. Eleanor's homecoming should have been triumphant, but the house felt like a medical outpost. The study, once Richard's grading sanctuary, held a hospital bed. Grab bars and a shower chair screamed infirmity. Melissa managed medications, meals, and wound care with nurses' efficiency, while Mark juggled the twins and work. Eleanor felt like a passive observer, tended but not consulted. Rest and heal, Melissa insisted, dismissing Eleanor's attempts to help. By day 4, the surgical site worsened, redness spread. Pain intensified, yellowish discharge appeared. Melissa called Dr. Reyes, securing an urgent appointment. Reyes' examination confirmed a recurring infection, the bacteria resistant to oral antibiotics. We can try home base 4 antibiotics with a PICC line and daily nursing visits. Reyes offered, respecting Eleanor's desire to avoid readmission. Melissa agreed, medically hospital safest, but with support, home can work. A PICC line was inserted the next day, a bruising ordeal due to Eleanor's fragile veins. Days blurred, medication schedules, dressing changes, fatigue. Eleanor's world shrank to the hospital bed and bathroom walks. Visitors brought casseroles, but their kindness reminded her of a life on hold. Bills piled up, co-pays, deductibles, eroding her savings. 2 weeks post-discharge, Eleanor woke unwell, feverish at 101.3. Alone, with Melissa at the twins' school and Mark on a call, she reached for her phone but dropped it. Dizziness and nausea overwhelmed her. Richard, I need help, she whispered, pressing the medical alert button before fainting. She woke the paramedics, Melissa's panic face, and urgent medical terms, potential sepsis, hypotension, tachycardia. At Lexington Memorial, Dr. Mercer confirmed bloodstream infection. Sepsis, Eleanor rasped, recalling its devastation during Richard's illness. Your age and infection type are challenges, Mercer admitted, but we caught it early. Melissa stayed through admission, guilt-ridden. I shouldn't have left. Not your fault, Eleanor insisted. Days passed in a fever haze. For antibiotics, blood cultures, specialists. Whitman visited, anchoring her. You're stubborn as they come, he teased, noting Melissa's vigil and community support. A vivid dream of Richard urged her to fight. They still need you, Ellie. Morning brought improvement. Lab markers better, inflammation down. Reyes confirmed healing tissue. Melissa, rested after Eleanor's insistence, brought renewed energy. Eleanor's condition stabilized, but recovery was slow. Melissa's family rented a nearby house, planning a permanent move. Mark's Boston transfer progressed, and they proposed converting Eleanor's garage into an in-law suite. Initially resistant, Eleanor saw mutual benefits, shared expenses, family closeness. She agreed, setting conditions for privacy. 6 months later, the property transformed. Eleanor's cottage was accessible yet elegant. The main house updated for Melissa's family. At Thanksgiving, Eleanor hosted Whitman, his wife, and Patricia, toasting the parasites' unlikely gifts. "It brought my family home, taught me independence lives in community," she said. "The scar, now silvery, was a story on my face," as Emily said. Eleanor journaled nightly, reflecting on the parasite's message. It had forced her to face vulnerability, reconnect with family, and embrace interdependence. Richard's Caribbean gift had enriched her life through crisis. Viewers, what unexpected challenge reshaped your priorities? Share below. Eleanor Blackwood's story began with a trembling finger on a small bump, a fleeting moment that spiraled into a medical odyssey. The tropical parasite from her final vacation with Richard nearly took her life, emerging after years of dormancy to unleash infection and sepsis. Yet, from this nightmare came profound gifts. Her daughter's family relocated, her community rallied, and Eleanor learned that true strength lies not in isolation but in connection. The scar on her cheek, now a silvery thread, tells a story of survival, vulnerability, and love rekindled across generations. This wasn't just a medical mystery. It was a wake-up call. Eleanor's journey challenges us to examine our own lives. What symptoms, physical or emotional, are we dismissing as nothing? What connections have we let distance erode? The parasite that threatened to destroy her instead became Richard's final gift, a paradoxical messenger of life's fragility and resilience. As Eleanor raises her coffee cup to unexpected messengers, she invites us to consider our own. What difficult moment in your life led to unexpected growth? What's stopping you from reaching out to those you love? Share your story below, and let's uncover the hidden gifts in life's strangest packages. Because sometimes the smallest bump can change everything.